happen.
All right, well, I'm Mike Mandell here with Karen Magnusson. Karen, you've been a coach at Marana Cook and a bunch of other schools now for a while,
Yeah.
Also a tourney junkie. We're at the halfway point of the tournament. What have you seen so far that you've liked?
Well, first off, I've been excited about having games streamed. A mother of 3. I can't make it everywhere. I've tried to watch as many games as I could, so we could talk about what I've seen, and hopefully you've seen some other teams as well. But couple things. One, I've loved watching some of the rookies in the tournament. We saw Ollie Higgins today from Brewer, who I believe in his quarterfinal had over 20 points, maybe 21, 22 points. Madawaska up in Bangor has an 8th grader, Quinn Pelletier, again had over 20 points, one of their best players. And Biddeford down south has Silva twins who are making a huge impact on their team. I'm not sure, who have you seen that's impressed you being rookies?
Well, I covered the Carabec-Madison boys game on Tuesday, and what really stood out to me was the play of Jacob Linkletter, a freshman. 6 threes in the first half in what was not a very offensive game, kind of shut the door on Carabec early. It's been great. And then to go into, you've been really intrigued by how some of the defense of some of these teams have been playing so far.
Yeah, well, so a couple things. I love watching defensive players get after it. Getting a whole team to buy into it's obviously important, but I love watching one kid that changes the game because of their defense. One that comes to mind is Reagan Cowan from Madison. You've got to strategize how to not go up against her. I love how Tibbetts plays from Halldale, Jordan Crump, another one from Biddeford. Winslow has a kid named Braden Rodrigue who played against Marana Cook, so I got to watch him.
Great point guard.
Great. But I love watching some of their best players also be their best defensive players and making that impact. And you saw today, huge upset, Camden Hills. But it started watching Haslam play against Maddie Provost, and you saw the differences that she made on the court. So as an individual, I love watching when people want to lock in and be that best defender. But as a team, Camden Hills today. I mean, you must have been here. I was streaming, but you were here watching it firsthand.
Yes, I covered that game, and Camden Hills did a few things. They ran man-to-man. They ran their 1-1-2-1 zone, and they ran like a box chaser. It totally threw Lawrence off guard. The biggest difference was that they out-rebounded, which I would be stunned if anybody else has done that against Lawrence this year. Rose DeHanson, apologies to Rose if I pronounced that incorrectly, and then Thea Locke, I think they both had double digits or close to it in rebounds. It's got to be the stunner of the tournament for me. I thought that Lawrence team was going all the way.
Yeah, I mean, they were 18-0 entering, and I think everyone thought they were the favorite to come back and, redeem from last year. But Camden Hills just played terrific team defense. And sometimes, coming in as the underdog in a game, that's a benefit. The pressure's on Lawrence to win. They got to come in, and being an underdog, you get to celebrate more of the little things. You're celebrating the turnover that Lawrence might make, or the missed shot when you get the rebound. Those are all stops that you get to celebrate. Where if you're Lawrence, you're looking at a bigger picture, we got to make a bigger run right now, and we should be ahead. And so the dynamics of those games sometimes, they change depending on who you are in that game. So I thought Camden Hills played a lot freer. I thought they got to just play their game and focus on defense, and everything that came was a plus for them.
And you've also been a coach between Coney, Dirigo, and Marana Cook for, a decade and a half now?
Yeah, quite a few years.
And so these guys behind us, we're getting ready for the last semifinal of the day between the Messalonsky and Camden Hills boys. You've been on this stage. This is the biggest game of these young men's lives. What's going through these players' minds and your minds as a coach right now?
I think it depends. It depends on the team. If you have a young team, they might be a little more nervous. If they're getting their first opportunities out on the court, you might have a senior team that's been there, done that, and they're coming back and they want to prove something. So I think it depends on what you have coming in each year.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is every coach wants them to be playing their best basketball at this point. And you want them believing that they can do it on the biggest stage. So knowing your players and what to say in those moments, that's what you figure out all year long, to know them in those moments and get them to play their best.
So when Marana Cook isn't playing, what are you looking for in these games? Are you a root for the underdog type person?
So it depends. I'll be honest, I'm a big Maddie Provost fan.
Yes.
So as much I am connected to Camden Hills because I played with their coach in college. Coach Bragg. So I was rooting for them. I thought she had a great game plan. I thought they played tremendous. But I'm also a big fan of players that put in a lot of time. Maddie Provost puts a ton of time into basketball, and every time she's got the ball in her hands, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what is she going to do. She's pulling the three. She's got an incredible mid-range game. So I love watching her play. I often want to root for the kids that put that time in. Overall, like a lot of this tournament, I love watching grit. Right, there were a lot of games, and I kind of wrote some of them down. I thought Lawrence showed grit coming back in that fourth quarter.
They could
have easily just let it go, and the game could have gone from 13 to 20 because they were frustrated. But they fought back. You had mentioned I think they got it within 5 at some point.
With 2:45
so they
to go,
showed that grit. But even the 4-5 matchup between Buckfield and Winthrop, Buckfield got up 17-2 against Winthrop. Now I know it's a 4-5, but everybody favored Winthrop. And they're down 17-2, and they easily could have gotten frustrated, caved in. I thought Coach Baer and his players did a great job just staying focused and chipping away. I thought they showed a lot of grit. Again, Edward Little and Chevrolet girls. Edward Little beat Chevrolet, I believe, in the regular season. They open up a 12-2 run to start the game. Chevrolet comes back. They end up winning by 12. And then you got Oceanside girls, which I'll talk a little bit about later, coming and hitting a buzzer beater, but they were down by, I think, 8 with 2 minutes to go, and they clawed themselves back, got into overtime, let momentum carry them, and they end up winning that game. Erskine girls, again, down at halftime, I think it was 18-26, and they end up going on a 28-12 run in the second half. I love
with
watching.
the sophomore laden team. That's not used to
that
the stage.
doesn't happen when you have underclassmen carrying you in those situations. So I love watching teams that have that perseverance and that grit to fight through.
Now, you mentioned Oceanside. They're one of the teams that's going to a regional final. They play Biddeford. We have a few regional finals set up. One Camden Hills versus Hamden Girls, which I don't think anybody expected. We have that Erskine, as you mentioned, is going to play Caribou. What are some of the regional finals that we already have set that you're looking forward to the most?
So there's 2 games, I think. Well, one of them regional final. I think Madomic York boys
how could I leave it out?
are going to be phenomenal. You're talking. So I watched both of them. They're both 18-0, and a Lash Bouchard matchup. I think there's a game to watch going forward. I think that's going to be one of the best games in the state.
It's one we've looking forward to all season.
Yeah. They're a lot of fun to watch. Another one that's not a regional final matchup, but I actually think Halldale Winthrop girls will be a great game to watch.
I have that game tomorrow, yes.
Yeah, Winthrop beat Halldale earlier, but Halldale was missing at least one starter that I know of. Yep. But both teams are going to be exciting to watch, and they're both familiar with this court. So I think that's a great game to watch going forward.
Halldale's an interesting one. They were missing Jade Graham, who was their big a lot of the year. They got their back right before the Madison game. They started working her in. And that game where they beat Madison by 20 points in the regular season was really when I think Halldale started to establish itself as maybe the favorite in this East South field.
And they beat Spruce Mountain in the MVC championship. Yes. So, I mean, they're playing great basketball right now. I think Winthrop didn't play their best basketball against Buckfield, but they can shoot it. And if they play with confidence and they shoot the ball the way they should, I think it'd be a really great game.
And let's face it, if you're going to make a run in this tournament, there's going to be a game where you don't play your guess, and it's about surviving that game.
And you're going to get through it. Yeah. Spruce Mountain in their quarterfinal did it. Winthrop, their quarterfinal did it. So you're going to have one of those games. You hope you don't get to one of those games. But if you do and you get through, you just hope then the next game you're ready to play your best. 2 games I would love to bring up that I think if you didn't watch it, you've got to go back and watch. I thought Oceanside Madomic Girls was a phenomenal game. It ended up going into overtime. A buzzer beater bank shot by Oceanside. That was a terrific game to watch. And the other one was a quarterfinal matchup between Lincoln Academy and Yarmouth. I stayed up late watching it.
That was a free overtime game.
Triple overtime.
Yes.
But what was fun is went back and forth. A big 3, and you'd be like, man, that made the game. That's how they're going to win it now. And then the next play, other team comes down and hits a 3. Multiple players making big plays that you love to see out of high school kids.
And they did it without their coach, who was suspended.
I didn't know that till after.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a heck of a win for him.
Yeah.
Walk away with that one, right? No, there's been some great games, and I look forward to this one too.
We have 3 days of regionals left, and then we head to states. So It's only we're only halfway here, and I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface of what's to come.
There's going to be some fun games coming up.
Mike Mandell, Varsity Maine, Karen Magnusson, broadcaster for, how long have you been doing that for?
Oh, God, I think ever since I started coaching, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and the coach of the Marina Cook girls. We'll see you guys the same place tomorrow night.